Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we are starting chapter number 10, that is pseudocode and flowcharts. And in this chapter we are going to study the basic rules of creating pseudocode and flowchart. Okay, that is the most important chapter related to paper number 2 around except section A, that is based on pre-release material, purely based on in the flowchart of pseudocode. Section B, that comprises of 30 marks, around 12 to 15 marks of paper 2, 12 to 15, minimum 12 till now, minimum 12 and up to 15 marks in paper 2 are including this chapter number 10. We need to write a pseudocode according to question. We need to draw a flowchart according to given question. We need to find out the errors from a given program or a given pseudocode or a given flowchart according to question. So minimum 12 or up to 15 marks questions are included from this chapter. So let's start the topic. What is pseudocode? Basically, pseudocode is the textual form of an algorithm. It is the textual means based on text, based on English alphabets or English words, which can be understandable by or which can be understood by any person. So basically, textual form of an algorithm is called pseudocode. And what is the purpose of a pseudocode? It is used to show the logic of a system, that how an application, how a software, how a program is working behind the screen. So basically, the purpose of a pseudocode is to show the logic, is to show the steps that will be taken by the machine or that will be taken by the software to attempt any task. Comprises of 4 sections, means a simple pseudocode is both based on 4 sections or phases. Section number 1, initialization and declaration. In this section, we will show the variables, constants, and arrays that we are going to use in the pseudocode according to requirement with their data types and their nature. Data input. At this stage, we shall input the data into the program. We shall create statements or we shall create a code according to which system will ask for few values by the user. Now the third step is processing, in which calculations are included. Comparisons means comparison of 2 or more variables, conditions, loops. Every type of processing will be done in third section or third phase of pseudocode. And the fourth one is actual output, means what is the actual requirement of the system, what is the actual or original outcome of the program or the system, that is decided at the end of the pseudocode. So basically, pseudocode is this textual form of a program that is done on paper, and the purpose of a pseudocode is to show the basic logic of a system. System means basic logic of a program. It is consisted on 4 phases or on 4 sections. First section is initialization, in which we define the variables, we define the constants, we define the arrays with their values, initial values, and their nature. Nature means data types. The second section of a pseudocode is designed to input data into the system. In this section, program or system will ask for to input few values according to requirements. The third section, that is processing, all types of calculations, all types of comparisons, conditions, looping, every type of processing, that is the duty of the system, that is the duty or that is the task of the program, is done at the third section or at the third stage. And finally, after the processing, it will produce the actual output according to the values which are input into the system. So that is the process of a pseudocode, or that is the introduction of the pseudocode. Now the next is flowchart. Graphical representation of a program. It is also done on paper. Okay, flowchart is also done on paper. It is basically the graphical representation of program in which we use different types of geometrical shapes. Used to show the logic of a system, the same purpose as pseudocode, but one thing that is not included in pseudocode but included in flowchart, data movement is also shown in flowchart with the help of flow lines or with the help of arrows, that at which stage that data is moving in which direction. It is also included in the flowchart. That is not included in pseudocodes. Same as pseudocode, it is comprises of 4 sections or 4 phases. Same initialization, data input, means user has to input the data according to requirement into the system. Then processing, calculations, comparisons, conditions, loop, etc. Then actual output. The same 4 phases are as of pseudocode. Now these are the few shapes which must be remembered by us, because these few shapes or these few components we are going to use in flow charting. So the first box is oval or rounded rectangle. Rounded rectangle means its vertical lines are rounded. Okay, everyone. Horizontal lines are straight, but vertical lines from up to down are rounded. In programming or in flowcharting, it is known as terminal box. It has no link with the logic of the program. Okay, we only need to place it at the start of the flowchart and at the end of the flowchart. That is the use of the first box, that is known as terminal box, or it is also known as start stop box in programming language. In programming terminologies, this box is known as terminal box, terminator, or start stop box. Geometrically, it is known as oval or rounded rectangle. It has no link with the pseudocode. It has no link with the program. It is only placed at the starting of the flowchart to show the beginning of the flowchart, that from this point flowchart is being started, and one terminal box is placed at the end of the flowchart to show that flowchart has been ended at this position. The next thing is process box. Process box means every type of calculations, every type of value assigning, every type of I must say, means every type of task except 2 or 3 tasks. Every type of tasks are done in rectangles. The most important box, the most important shape of flowchart. Geometrically, it is known as rectangle, not a square. It is rectangle. And in programming terminologies or in flowchart language, it is known as process box. Now the third one is parallelogram. Parallelogram means skewed form of rectangle. Vertical sides of a rectangle if skewed at the angle of 45 degree from the left hand side, and the vertical line at the right hand side is skewed at 135 degree. So that is called a parallelogram. In programming or in flowcharting, it is known as input output box. Means whenever we place an input statement or we place an output statement in our pseudocode or in our program, we need to draw a parallelogram at the same stage on in flowchart. The fourth one is decision box or condition box according to programming and flowcharting language. In geometry, it is known as diamond or rhombus. All types of conditions, whether it is if then else, whether it is case of otherwise, whether it is while do and while, or it is repeat until, every type of condition that is going to be used in our program, in our pseudocode, will be placed in rhombus or diamond in flowchart. And the last one are flow lines. What are flow lines? Flow lines are basically arrows which shows the processing movement, which shows the data movement in the pseudocode according to requirement. So today's session is completed. I hope there will be no confusion in these topics. Okay, everyone. Thank you.